What's up, everybody? Welcome to Live from the Cave. And you don't see two people here because I heard a rumor that they were suspended for all that Laker talk that they did last week, all that trash talk. So, yes, Mel and Sean are on time out this week. They're on a Kappa timeout. So they're probably somewhere twirling canes. Practicing. But in their place, I'm very happy to announce we have my cousin Cortez Mack and Guy Jazzy Rainey, and we're going to give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves. But Raj, our super producer in the back, can you bring up our third guest? Like right now?
Now that's an intro.
Yeah. I wonder what
That's what I'm
fraternity you're
talking
in,
about.
friends. I wonder what fraternity you might be in that our alpha producer would create this whole movie intro for you. I
First
thought I
of
was watching
all, servants
Fast
of
and the
all, we
Furious.
shall transcend all. So he already know.
I thought I was watching a preview, a trailer for Fast and Furious 9 or something. I don't know what that was.
That's how we come. We come fast and we come furious. You got to be ready, man. It's black and gold. The train don't stop. The train don't stop.
All right, we're going to get this started. First of all, my name's Glenn Murray. Robert Hazard, one of our regular cast members, the lover of life, so you know him. So we're going to let our guests introduce themselves. We're going to start at the top right. Guy, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay, I'm Guy Jazzy Rainey. I'm a author of two books, The Facts of Life, Faith, Action, Change, Truth of Service, and the Hip Hop Proverbs. I'm also a strategic interventionist life coach. That means I take you from where you are to where you need to be. Specialize in getting people unstuck. And also, I am a podcast. I have a podcast that come on daily called The Morning Coffee with the motivated Jazzy G. Glenn was one of my guests. My season one, we just finished season one, 100 episodes, something I'm proud of. And I'm a father of 4 adult daughters and 2 granddaughters. And that's right, I'm a girl dad. And I've been married for 30 years. And
Congratulations.
yeah, and it's a lot to it. So 3 decades married, and 34 years together, 30 years married, and that's about it on me. I also specialize in information technology and hardware and all. So that's basically my daily life. But I don't know about my past life, but that's my life now.
All right, Cortez Mack, what's up?
What's going on, gentlemen? Pleasure to be here. Nutshell, I'm just a filmmaker from Chicago, married over 21 years with 2 girls, and I'm the coolest cat in the country.
All right, the man with the glorious intro. We're going to let you introduce yourself now.
All right. My name is Francis Lee Moyes, author, educator, entrepreneur. I work as a pretty much an all-around type of guy, right? I'm very positive in the things that I do. I work on the collegiate level all the way down to about 3rd grade. So my push is to help people achieve their best. The name of my company is called the W Initiative. W in French is translated to double V, which means double V. So my concept is to help people achieve their personal victories as well as their professional victories. That's when you get the win, when it's balanced. So VV equals W, and that's what we're trying to get people to get is the W, the win. So my book is called Chess for Life, Life for Chess, where I teach people how to play the game, but more importantly, not just on the board, but off the board. How do you translate the information of chess into your life? So again, that's like one of my benchmark programs, but I have several other concepts that I use to help people win. That's what it's about, winning.
Nice, nice. Robert, do you want to say something to your adoring fans? Because I know they want to hear your voice.
Man, I'm just sitting here we've got some amazing guests. We've got 30-year veteran. We've got a 21-year veteran as well. You know, and if you add up all of my marriages, I might
Already, he started.
I might come close, but you know what? We gonna get this show started. I'm drinking this tonight because we've been talking about marriage.
Gentlemen, good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Evening.
This is just a reminder that Glenn can be touched. I'm still the Godfather, okay? You don't get to come on saying all of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like Uncle Mel. See, for those of y'all that don't know, Glenn and Robert are my nephews. We established this at the photo shoot. Robert, you're always well behaved. I appreciate you, but your little cousin Glenn don't always act right. So sometimes the uncle got to flex his muscle and let the world know that I'm still the original Don Dada. You know why rock with me, boy. All right, you can let him back in. You all right now?
No, wait a minute. I know somebody didn't just let Glenn Murray get kicked out of the thing. As I speak about myself in third person.
Hey,
that's
listen.
right.
When you pay homage in the form of lamb steaks, then you could talk, okay? I know how this works.
Weren't you on a retreat or something, Mel?
I'm on a retreat and I'm in my room now. So I'm
not
even going to stick around
because you're out of the show. I need you out of.
I'm out of here. I love y'all, man. I just wanted to come through the cave and say what's up. You all have an amazing show, gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you. Y'all have a good show. I'm out.
All right.
All right, back to the show now, since we were rudely interrupted. And Roger and Keisha, we're going to have a meeting about y'all kicking me out of this show because this ain't happening. All right, so before we get started, I have to read this. This was a compliment for Mel and Sean and Robert and myself that was really nice, and I thought it would be a great way to start the show. One of our listeners, Deldria Sandy Davis, had a birthday, and I wished her happy birthday this past week. And she sent me a note, and I had to share it with everybody. And I thought this would be a great way to share it. So she thanked me for the birthday wish. She said, "I respect your walk as a man. I raised two awesome men by myself. So if the men I groom can be half of what you guys are in the cave, then I have done my job to produce loving, caring, prosperous men. Thank you." So thank you so much, Deldria, for such a sweet message to all the gentlemen on the cave. This is the reason why we do what we do. We really appreciate you, and we appreciate all of you watching. Please share this with your friends and family and everybody else on Facebook. We just really appreciate you. So we're going to jump into this. We're going to talk marriage. We're going to talk the M word. We're going to try to make sure that Rob's not triggered. So if you see him trembling or shaking, please send a note to our producers. We'll get him his medication and we'll be okay. But, I'm going to start this conversation for the married guys, but also it's for you guys that aren't married as well. It's a two-sided question. So one of the questions is, what's really different about you now? What's changed about you since you got married? Some of you have been married. Guy, you and Cortez have been married like a total of 50 years. Like, I'm not even 50 years old. I'm like 30, 25, depending on who you ask and what day. Y'all have been married. The two of you have been married to your wives for a collective 50 years. What's changed about you, or what have you learned about yourselves? And Cortez, we'll let you go first.
Well, gentlemen, what has changed about me is the ability to deal with accountability, obligation, and those things, not just for marriage, but within marriage. I've learned to deal with the hard places and not just on the man side. There are some places in marriage that we have to go talk about with and within our wives in order for us both to grow up and grow into each other. I've learned not to how to have more compassion, empathy. I've always listened to my wife, but now I've learned to, not just listen, but hear her Unfortunately, I'm one of them cats who don't really believe in the 5 love languages. I don't believe in the happy wife, happy life. I don't believe in the cliches that's supposed to make marriage work. And I'm one of those cats who make a lot of men feel uncomfortable based off how we were taught coming up. And there's some things that we've been taught traditionally that really has wrecked us as men and preventing us from fully developing to the husbands we need to be. So I dig in deep and I talk about it. And some of those places, I have to deal with. So listen, on this subject of marriage, I just say I'm one that you kind of really don't want to have a conversation with. And I'm being honest with that because there's some stuff we've been taught that really ain't been good for our marriages. So next.
I got some questions, but we're gonna come back.
We'll come back. We'll circle back with some questions. Guy, we're gonna let you answer that question.
Well, for me, what I've learned, what's different about me is that maturity is one. When I got married, I was 28 years old, already a father, and not very mature. I was in the music business. I was a record executive and A&R, so I thought my shit didn't stink. That was one thing. So I had to actually mature and basically grow up. So by the time our other kids were born, I started to change my life. I was about 33 years old, and I was like, okay, it's literally what would Jesus do type of thing. You know what I'm saying? 33 years old. I have to grow up now. I have to, do the things that need to be done to be a real husband, father, you know what I'm saying? Because here I was with a, wife, children, mortgage, car payments, real life now. So you have to really grow up. You can't be running around, because I traveled a lot, going to different things, going to different, being in the studio all the time. And, that type of life, the glamour life had to slow down. So the thing that I had to learn, and I agree with Cortez, is that, compromise is big in marriage. You have to really learn how to compromise because you're growing with each other. So, I had to learn how to be that guy, saying, and really compromise and understand her. And so, and my wife is, she's a strong-willed person. She's a strong-willed person. She's a child of divorce, so she's seen that side of it. So I had to learn, it's not all about me. I'm the youngest of 6, spoiled. I come from the city, and here I was in the suburbs. I come from the city of New York, living in the suburbs of New York. So it was a culture shock for me. So I had to learn to redo a lot of things, like, grow up and be a man and be, now I'm suburban. I'm a suburbanite guy now. You wouldn't know that I grew up in the city. Meeting me and deal with me out here in Long, you would not know that I come from Harlem. Far as me telling you in the Harlem swag, but everything about me is now suburban, and and that was part of growing up. So that's basically change that made me different. It's growing up and being a man. Basically.
Are you originally from Brooklyn?
I'm originally from Harlem.
From Harlem. Okay, Harlem World.
Actually, Harlem. Matter of fact, Detroit and Harlem. Okay. I grew up in Detroit, and then when my father died, we moved to Harlem. So
okay,
So I'm Detroit, Harlem.
Cool. Franz, we're gonna let you have that question. We're gonna switch it around and do relationships. What's different about you now since your last relationship?
Probably the biggest difference is finances. I think that's the biggest thing in relationships. When you're younger, you may not have the finances you need. I was just starting off my Chess for Life, writing the book, writing the curriculum, putting all that together. So it was a lot going on in taking on the entrepreneurship side of things, leaving, working in the K through 12 and saying, I could do this. when you start to get in the groove, it's different. You know, when you can go on a vacation and not worry about what you got to pay, it's different. You know, so I think that is probably my growth is probably the number one growth is finances. I think the second growth is understanding women more. And I would say it's more knowing that we all have baggage, right? But our women, they carry a lot of baggage that we don't always put in play, and even ourselves. So I've dealt with women who've come from backgrounds where they may have not had the father figure, or backgrounds where they were misused by another man. You know, so it's that type of mental health piece that has helped me to grow, because you have to put yourself in their shoes, right? And a lot of guys don't look at that. They just, hey, it's my way or the highway. But I try my best to kind of, I think Cortez said it earlier, I'm listening, but I need to hear you, right? I need to hear what you're going through. So it's not easy. But I think that is my growth in terms of relationships. One, personally, myself, in terms of finances. Two, understanding that, you know, there's more to this than just, hey, we're together, right?
Dare I say it, Rob? Are you ready? And you've
I
been
am
very
ready.
open. You've been very open. You've talked about divorce and being divorced. What
Yep.
have you learned since then about you now as you enter into a new phase of relationships and a new phase of meeting people and all of that? What's different about Robert Hazard Jr.?
And that's a great question, Glenn. Thank you so much for asking.
You're
You
welcome.
know, I want to be the voice of reason for Mel tonight, since he is
I
not
know.
here.
And I'm gonna tell his long story like Sean does, but I'm waiting till like the 30-minute mark. Then I'm trying to, because I gotta think of a story that long to actually be as long as Sean. So yeah.
You know,
Okay, go ahead.
so you know what, gentlemen, it's interesting that, you know, if we look at the perspective of, you know, the folks that are here that have been married, Cortez, Guy, and they've been married, you know, for centuries, it seems like. And you know, for myself, you know, I've only been, you know, divorced now. It's not even 2 years yet, but it's coming up on it. And I've, you know, counseling has kind of helped me to unpack some things. But one of the things that I think we all may have as gentlemen is egos. We let our egos get in the way when we are dealing with our mates, with our partners. And sometimes, you know, and I had 3 sisters growing up, so I have this side where I feel like I can listen. I feel like I'm a good communicator. But you asked me the question, so let me answer it. I pay more attention to red flags, Glenn. So before, I had this, you know, the spiritual mentality that, you know, we can pray together, we can, you know, whatever demons you have in you, excuse me, whatever things are going on with you, we can pray them out and it's going to be okay. I had a thought of, you know, forgiving and looking over things, but you really have to, I've learned that you have to undress those things. But the most important thing now in where I'm at is, you know, people are willing to listen and meet me, because outside of the lover of life, it's all about love. So you're no longer chasing, you know, somebody and wanting them to love you, because people are more willing to give me that opportunity to love them and get to know them better. And it's only been 2 years. That's a long answer, but you know,
No,
the goal is, you know, that I can't heal everybody because I can't even heal myself.
right. No,
So
that's good.
that's it.
And I'll even answer this. I was gonna avoid the questions, but I figured out.
I was gonna switch roles and then ask you.
Oh, you
So,
was
but
gonna
go
catch
ahead.
me no matter what. I couldn't get away, huh? That's what you were saying. All right. So one of my authors actually posted something really important. Martha Chavez, Marty, I call her Marty. Fiscal compatibility is so important and hardly ever addressed in the dating stage. And I think that's true. And one of the things I learned though, and there's a but to that, fiscal compatibility is great, but there's other compatibility. I think you need to, what I've learned now from one relationship to the next is you need to deal with whatever your truth is. And you need to share that openly and honestly and let the man or the woman, in any case, man, you need to do it too, because sometimes you hide your mess too, and you got a lot of mess. You pack a lot of baggage in your closet, and you'll have clothes falling out and trying to shut the door and trying to pretend like it's not baggage. You leaning against the door, pretending like that's not baggage, and you got ex-girlfriends, ex-wives, and everything falling out of the closet.
Still calling you.
Still calling, texting, hosting. You know, have you ever seen a dude that somebody post stuff, some ex post some crazy stuff online, and they like, oh, don't worry about that. You know, she's talking about killing you and putting your tires on flat because you with some other girl, and you're gonna tell the woman you're with, don't worry about that. No. Whatever your stuff is, you need to bring it out. You need to share it and share your truth with that person that you're with if you want to be with them for any length of time. I think that's important. And, you know, over the last 5 years or so, I've done a lot of growing and I've done a lot of learning who I was. And before that, I was probably more of a giver and more of I'll let it all be excused and I'm okay. And then I was like, no, I need to be happy. I learned that my happiness is just as important as the other person's. And that's something that I didn't always lean toward when it was in a relationship. I was trying to be the good guy and do what I thought was okay, and they were nice to me, so yeah, you know, it's cool. But no, not anymore. Nah, don't do that anymore.
I think you said it right. You know, you got to know your truth. It's know thyself.
Yep.
And once you realize who you are, I think that's when you really start to make a difference in the game, right? Not pretending to be something that you are not.
Right.
I think more than anything, one of my truths is, you know, I'm just a good guy. I'm just a positive guy, right? Yeah. So people look at it like, man, you always positive. I'm like, that's just me. And it's kind of interesting because people don't see that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when they see it, they're like, is that really you? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I try to portray who I am everywhere I am. From social media to interactions with friends to anything else. It's, you know, it's so funny because, you know, the whole off in the DM thing is funny because we always tell jokes about being off in people's DMs, but like, okay, if I wish you happy birthday, I just mean you happy birthday. It don't mean I want to go out with you, that I want to get with you, that I'm trying to do anything else other than wish you a happy birthday. So, you know, things like that. It's like I'm coming to you the way I am and who I am. And
you know, that's a good point, Glenn, because, you know, we talked about, you know, being authentic. And one of the things that I find is I have 3 things that I do when I'm commenting on people's posts. I say awesome. I say happy birthday to you, you know, and I may change it a little bit to say amazing or something like that. But it don't mean, like you just said, that I'm trying to holler at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that, you know, if I'm trying to holler at you, I'm gonna let you know. Listen,
we'll let you know. Yeah, you'll know.
Yeah.
You'll know.
So don't be cutting my car tires or anything like that. Come on now. I know some women that'll do that. Don't come for me like that. No.
Okay. Disclaimer: we don't know any women that are on this live feed right now that would cut tires. This is not referencing any of you, any of our 34 people that are on right now, because we need to keep that number up. So we love you all. The views of Robert Hazard aren't always the views of Live from the Cave, our producers, and especially not me. So just letting you know, I love you all. Thank you. Next question. And this is a good one for married, single, dating, whatever. What's the truth that most women find hard to accept when trying to connect with you? So for Guy and Cortez, it's more of what was the hardest thing for you to get through in your marriage that was about you? Franz, I'm going to let you answer first, though. What's the truth women find most hard to accept when they connect you? And I think you mentioned it already, but it's sound on it.
It's just that. It's just being positive, right? Because it's hard. Again, a lot of guys, a lot of men don't share that side. So you'll hear the negative. We hear it in the news. We hear it everywhere else, the negativity. But when you see that positive person who's consistent in just being positive, then it's like, I think you're fronting. But I'm like, no, this is who I am. This is how I am. Whether I'm at work, whether I'm at home, I try to stay in that mode. Now, when I'm not in that mode, you'll know I'm not in that mode, right?
But do you think women are just conditioned to believe that there's an ulterior motive from every man? And this is a question. It's not a statement, women. So don't come after me. I don't want to hear your comments. I don't want to play. Don't play with me about this.
I think it is. And then he said, yes, I do think it is. Yes. I think the answer to that is yes. Think about just think about just the history from slavery up until now. There was always an ulterior motive, right? We want you to come here, but we want you to do this, but I want you to marry me, but, right? So it's understanding that it's more than just an ulterior motive. There is a motive behind it. And I think we have to separate the two. The motive is for us to be greater, right? Not just for you to be greater. And I think once we kind of realize that we're both in this together, then it works. If it's just me talking and I'm like, okay, it's about me and I'm pushing self, then there is an ulterior motive.
There's an ulterior motive, right? Because I'm promoting me. And like I'm wonderful and I'm this and I'm that. Here's my resume. Here's my bio. Here's my background. That's an ulterior motive, definitely. All right, Mary, guys.
There's still a motive behind it.
Right. Guy, chime in on this. What's the truth that your wife found most hard to accept about you once you were married and you get into it? Because you still are learning, people. You were young when you got married.
Yeah.
The truth that was hard for her to accept about me, I don't really, man, what could I say? I don't know. Again, I was such a spoiled brat. I maybe that was the hardest thing for her to accept. That the funny thing, I was just earlier I was teasing her about not buying my underwear for me. And my mother bought my underwear for me and my brother. My brother was 5 years older than me, and my mother brought our underwear like up until she died. I think the first time. Well, it was the second time that I ever bought underwear for myself. It was a month before she passed away.
Wow.
And my brother and I, we didn't buy underwear and in pajamas or socks. Our mother brought it for us. And, but my wife didn't mind that, but I was just teasing her that she don't do that. She said, yeah, I'm not your mother, though. I think that's probably the hardest thing that she had to put up with my spoiledness. And I can be angry. Like, I was an angry teenager. I was an angry kid a lot. I was an angry kid. I was, I had all my nicknames were angry nicknames. Like, the kids, named me Groucho. Was my nickname. My family named me Gargamel. These are Smokey Wolf. I mean, I had every nickname that I had was kind of like being a mean person because I would have a frown on my face a lot, but at the same time, I gotta be funny all the time. I snapped a lot, you know what I'm saying? Because I come from one of the kind of families that we play the dozens on each other all the time. But I guess that's the one
guy to destroyer. See, guys, you don't understand. Our producer, Roger, is like posting messages in the chat. Y'all can't see it. We have to see. And Roger posts a lot of crazy stuff. Like he's writing a book about women called "Women Shut Up and Listen to Me." That's gonna be the title of it. I'm gonna publish it. Yeah, I'm gonna publish it. Then I'm gonna go in hiding after I publish it. Right. All these instructions for women, like you should serve them with a smile and stuff. So Roger posted in the chat. I'm just gonna expose him. He goes, "I am great as I told her." That's what he talks about to his.
They booted him out.
Like Kevin Samuels do the forward.
That's right. You're exposed, Roger. You're exposed. All right, Cortez, we're going to let you get in on this. what has changed about you since you were married, and how did it impact your marriage? What was the big change?
Oh wow, that kind of sounded like the first question, but I was looking forward to answer the other question though. But,
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. What's the truth that was hard to accept? What was Jerry? It was like, wait a minute. This wasn't like when I married you. This wasn't it. What's the truth that most women found hard to accept? So what did your wife find hard to accept about you? I'm sorry. I went back to the first one. Roger threw me out the room, and I'm all confused. Go ahead. And the Woodford might have something to do with it too.
with my wife and having marital discussions, and we kind of find this in a lot of wives. One of the hardest truths that women don't want to accept is that the man that you decide to be the wife to or be in a relationship, he's not your father. And the number one thing is the number one thing that causes a lot of disconnect where wives can't connect because however sometimes it's not their father. Sometimes it's a pastor or superficial preacher in their head. A thing from something. They stop building this idea of how we should be, and they don't give us the chance to fulfill who God give us to be for them. So we're fighting this spirit of I don't want to say control, but ideology of who they think we should be versus who God put us in their life for. Because I always I always share with women. I said, think about it. We always take the first step in asking you to be our wife. So there's something that we see in you that we hope during the time and process that you would allow God to show you who the man is in your life. Because most men who ask a woman to be his wife, he asks her for a purpose. And see,
that's right.
And scripturally, Deuteronomy 24:5 tells us when a man take on a new wife, he's supposed to spend a year getting to know his wife. Unfortunately, that woman don't stop or give enough time for herself to develop to become a wife. So therefore, we're spending all our time trying to get to a wife. And what we do is we start fighting all these male images in her head. And it starts with our father, it could be a brother, be an uncle, and we never fully get to be developed into who we're supposed to be in her eyes because that's the fight. So, after 21 years, even having marital couples with cats who've been 30, 40 years, that's their fight. But here's the problem, and then I'm going to cut it because I'm going to have to take a swig of this Pepsi. Here's the thing.
You didn't got me pulling out my Bible, man.
Listen,
where is that?
Robert, you got to put the liquor down if you're pulling out the Bible, okay? You can't have both at the same. I don't need lightning striking you.
Oh, man.
Here you go. And I'm gonna leave it alone on this. This is why we become passive in our journey in trying to get our wives. Because we shouldn't struggle so long trying to get to her, to be the wife that we believe that we asked to be our wife. But somehow that development doesn't come. Not overnight. We know it's not going to come overnight, but somehow down the way, the only thing the man wants is his wife. And that's becoming his hardest journey. It's not his job. It's not his children. It's not making money. It's not none of these things. It's just all we want is the woman that we love. And when we get her, we spend a lot of time looking to preserve her because we see because we bring out her greatness.
Correct.
You know, she's our favorite. We bring out her greatness. The Bible tells us if she finds his heart, she will want for nothing. I'm gonna go swing my Pepsi.
Oh, wait a minute. We didn't hit the 9:33 mark, and Cortez has gone to church. I'm changing my glasses to my preacher reading glasses now. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm not your daddy.
I'm not your daddy.
I'm not your daddy. Say, neighbor, I am not your daddy. I am not your uncle. And I am not that other male person that you
Oh,
hold
God.
on high on the mountain. That is not.
Well, you know what? I gotta I gotta share this because I gotta put a shameless plug with my book, and I'm working on this piece. Several of my friends said, "France, you gotta go ahead and do this." Bringing it back to chess. The queen is the powerful piece, right? And she brings a lot of authority in that game. So it's the same thing in life. She is very powerful once she's used, right? She got to be in the game. The other piece is that the king is the purpose piece. So we can't forget our purpose, and our purpose is to protect those pieces, protect that power, because once she does great things, she helps us to be greater, right? So
Amen.
Cortez hit some really good points. Once you know how powerful she is, let her go and do her thing, because all she's going to do is make you greater. And once she realizes that you are the purpose and respects that, I think things start to work. We work again together, not separate.
And you know,
Hey,
that's
Glenn.
I wanted to say
I'm
this
sorry.
one point, you know, is that when you said that, it's our role as men is to remove roadblocks and to remove roadblocks within our family circles. So if we step up to that role to remove roadblocks, the woman, the queen, can be so much greater. Yeah, carry her bags,
Right.
make her load lighter.
But
I'm
you
not just
have to
saying
be,
that.
you have to be able to recognize greatness too, though.
That's
Correct.
true.
And that means putting your ego aside. That means putting aside all that,
Yeah.
all the things that you think make you a man,
Yeah.
because they
Yep.
don't.
Yep.
Yep.
You're totally wrong if you think just being a man means you just gonna lead, because you could be
Yep.
dumbest man in the world and thinking you can lead, and you're gonna lead somebody off a cliff. So
That's why I got new
Going back
glasses.
again, she has more power than the king does,
Yeah.
right? And we can't we would let the ego take over and not let her get in the game, right? So currently women, I mean, the black girl magic right now.
Yeah.
The women magic right now. If you are a young man, an older male, whatever, you gotta let them do their thing. Because right now they are taking this ship to another level. So we can't hinder that. We gotta push that. We gotta support that. Because again, when they do great things, we look good
great
too.
things. Right,
So,
right. There's no style. Yeah.
Gentlemen,
At the
Gentlemen, I'm
same
sorry.
time, a man has to know how to put his, or learn how to put his ego to the side. We got to understand from a psychology point of view, from practical psychology, our ego. We first develop our ego at the age of 2. That's why we call it terrible twos. So, from the time from 2 years old to 13 years old, you have developed that ego. At 13 years old is when your ego has now been is so a part of you. We actually call it a personality. So now that personality is now trying to be something that all this know is to be. So to tell a man you got to put his ego aside, or we allow our ego to do this, our ego to do that, because men and women, we all have egos, but we look at this, we look at egos from a boasting or you know, like this alpha thing.
right.
That's not really what an ego is. An ego is something that, like, again, that we develop. Even the people that we call crybabies, like, you know, the child when you're 2 years old and he's always crying, or he's always kicking things, he's always throwing tantrums. You know, those are egos. Those are developing the ego. By the time that person is 13 years old, that's why I had all the mean names growing up, because by the time I was 13 years old, my ego was being mean. My ego was being grouchy. And those were all my names, because there's, oh, that's this guy. That's how he is. But that was all my ego. But I had to learn to actually put that stuff aside when I got married. They say, because especially the first 5 to 10 years of our marriage was hectic, especially the first 5. And even like my wife's father would tell her, oh, you know, the first 5 years is hard. Then you got the year 5, and you know, oh, you know, this. But she's like, okay, when is it going to get easy? It's not about getting, it's about getting better.
Correct.
The same thing. And I mentioned in my book, The Facts of Life, it came to a point do I want to be right all the time, or do I want to be happy? So I had to make that decision. Do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? Once the bell went off in my head that I want to be happy, I became a better person and became a better husband, became a better father. You know what I'm saying? But I put my fatherhood in front of my marriage all the time because it's what I wanted, because my father died when I was young. So I put fatherhood in front of everything, but I had to learn to chop my ego down and put my marriage in front. My wife and I are one. That's what the scripture said. You're one. And I had to learn that you're one. We're not two different people anymore. We are one soul. So that's the hardest thing for men to learn. And again, women marry their fathers anyway. I'm so much like my wife's father, you know. So it's hard for a woman when she's looking for her father, or she marries her father in relationship with her father. It's hard for her not to expect you to be her father, good or bad, because that's shaped.
Wow.
Even if he's an absent father, he's still shaped who she is.
Yeah.
Right. Cortez, you had something? Cortez, you were about to say something?
You're on mute.
Listen, I'm not quite sure of how I'm gonna get banned after this, but
You're not gonna get banned, cousin Cortez. You are straight. You are fine. Say whatever you feel. This is the cave.
I'm gonna be honest with us. A lot of times we got to stop with the wordplay. We shout out all these things about the egos, the pride, and stuff like that, as if that we're the only one who carry that. And we fail to realize the creation. God created a woman for us, but somehow we flipped it and made it all about them. And we've given up our authorship. Why? So we can make the woman happy. That's what we're taught. But the unfortunate thing is that as we get older and we get men, what we start doing is we start playing ourselves low. You know, I had issues, I got baggage, I got all this, blah, blah. But we excuse the wife as if she have to get healed and whatever deal. Because every woman that's hurt or been hurt, we're not responsible for. We didn't do it.
I agree. Yeah.
Come on now.
So
You need to
what
turn up
we
your
tend
mic.
to do- So what we tend to do is to justify why we need to try to save her. It's our job to nurture, love, protect, and all these things. And in some areas, the wives need to be honest with themselves and get themselves delivered in some places. Because there's going to be some places that I ain't got nothing to do. I talk to my wife about this all the time. There are places that you don't want me to deal with. But listen, I'm here to help and encourage and nurture you. Because at the end of the day, I need you to be a wife that God created you for me. The same way you want God to be a husband for you, there's some things you got to give up. Because I can't spend all my marriage fighting to get to you. Because at the end of the day, I'm telling you what's going to happen. My health going to come in issue.
Right, but there's some amazing women that have some serious dysfunction. I seem to have dated a lot of them, but there's some amazing women that have some. There are some truly amazing women, but they've been through a lot and they need some nurturing. Cortez, what do you do in that? You know, you counsel people. What do you do in that? You and Guy both. Y'all are life coaches, both of you.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
what do you
need
do?
nurturing.
Listen,
They need nurturing, care.
listen. Look, stop. Look, I don't want to hear all this past stuff, and I'm not being offensive to the women on here. But if these women can go to God about to get rid of us and deliver us and help Him get it right and all this stuff, why can't they do that for themselves?
Ooh,
Let me say this. Let me say this piece.
That's a good one.
Cortez Mack said that.
Yeah.
that was the
Robert
things
Dickinson
that now I got to do the
said that.
disclaimer.
This
Now I
is-
got to do
this
the
is-
disclaimer.
Yeah.
This is understand, gentlemen. This is the reason why we stay stressed out. Because when our wives, girlfriends pissed off and mad at us, they ain't got no problem calling on the Lord, the devil, and all this stuff to get rid of us. And why can't they ask God to help them get delivered?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. He said, "Call on the Lord to get rid of us."
And the devil.
I want the devil to get rid of us. Oh my God. Let me hope that none of you are
I'ma
dating
go
a
ahead
woman
and
that's
drink
calling on the
this- I'ma
devil.
go
Because if
ahead
we're
and drink
calling on
this
the
Pepsi.
devil, we need to run for like a whole. There's a whole nother set of reasons I need
A whole
to run.
nother
If you're calling
talk,
on
man.
if you're calling on Satan, then there's a whole other reason to leave you alone. We talking about deal breakers. We used to have a deal breaker question there. That's a deal breaker. If you're a Satan worshiper,
Well, let
don't
me say
need to get
this.
go on, friends. You were gonna say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, because before Cortez was actually going to say what he said, which was some good stuff. Good stuff. One of the things we can't forget is we are the king, right? And I think that's the piece. We can't devalue who we are, right?
Right.
On the board, because the king is still the king. And the thing that we were talking about earlier in terms of ego, I don't have to keep telling you I'm the king. I don't have to boast of what I can do and why I'm important to this process and why I'm important to you. And I don't have to say that to you all the time. At this point, you know that. And as well as I know your value. I know who you are. I know what you can do. I need you to know that. And once she knows that, the nurturing is going to be there. The support is going to be there. But you know what? The queen can move without me. That's the
She
piece.
will.
So we got to, and she will, exactly, because she trusts that I trust her.
I'm gonna respond to that. And this is gonna be my last thing because I'm enjoying the show. To the gentleman who said, I hear you.
You're part of the show, brother. You're part of the show.
You're not like leaving, are you?
Listen. We all these things, but one thing we forget about is that even the king was human.
Correct.
But we take away the human side of man and put him on all these responsibilities. You're the king. You blah blah blah. But the king get tired.
Yeah.
And when the
Amen.
king get tired, and listen, but when the king get tired, who nurtures the king?
Right.
Well, we hope
And
the
again,
queen does.
that's part of the process. That is part of the process. And we said it earlier, we're here to help each other. It's not just me doing me, because if it's me doing me, then we're not on the game together. I might as well play by myself.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? I might as well play by myself. I might as well go ahead and find somebody. I might as well stay single. If it's
I
me
can be by myself if I need to. Yeah, if you can't, if I gotta nurture you, but you can't do anything for me,
correct.
then you don't really bring
But
anything to the
isn't that
relationship.
the motto of women? But
That we need to do more than they do?
I can do that by myself.
Well, yeah, but all those women that talk about I don't need nobody and I don't need a man, as soon as they meet a man,
correct.
they're all up in love. They're all in love. They're all on Facebook. My king, I love him. Wonderful
love it.
together. Relationship goals. They got every hashtag known to man.
Right.
And 2 weeks ago, they was all bad by themselves. Then when they break up with them, they go off and it's like,
You know why?
finding myself.
You know why that's the case,
Power
Glenn?
couple. We the power couple.
You know why that's the
Yes,
case?
boom.
And again, going back to the power couple, you know why that's the case? Because you can never forget the purpose. You never gonna forget the purpose. So
Right.
yeah, I might be mad at you. I might call, this or that, call you this and here and that. At the end of the day, I will never forget the purpose.
Right. And
that
that's
means that she's agreed, but doesn't that mean that she's agreed to the purpose? Because we have to have this commitment. And gentlemen, I know you all are married, so there's some vows that people commit to. But very often, and I think we have another question that may talk about this. Very often in today's society, people forget what those vows are really all about, right? Because there needs to be a driving force that keeps us together. And vows are supposed to be, as I said, binding contracts. But we didn't already talked about they can do bad all by themselves.
Yeah, I know. They tell us that all the time.
Yeah, I don't need you.
But
Yeah.
you know what? And that's actually true.
If they don't need
We
us,
ought
they-
to do bad by ourselves.
Oh,
And
But everybody can do bad by themselves. That's
Right.
that's like
we
saying
ought to do
that's
bad
one of
by
those cliche terms like nobody's getting younger.
Right.
Well, hell,
Right.
name me somebody that is. Because everybody's getting older every day. So you can do bad by yourself. I can do bad by myself. I can make stupid mistakes just like you can make stupid. Okay,
We all can do that. We all
slow
can.
down for you. You can
The
do
question
bad by
is-
yourself.
The question is not, can you do bad by yourself? The question is, what can we do together?
bam.
Right.
How can we be greater together? How can we make a difference together? we're not gonna always agree. We're not gonna always, see eye to eye and push the same way. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's team us. So we gotta know each other's. I said you gotta know your identity. We gotta know who we are. And unfortunately, as a Black people, we really have some soul searching to do in that area, because that's where we fall short in some of these other areas.
Yeah.
Until you can't do the stuff right. That's why we have the issues that we have.
Right.
So,
And maybe as we know us, maybe that would help us in the next relationships to know us better, so that when we get into those relationships, they can be more successful.
Well, the big thing about me was I went to my female friends to ask what was wrong with me. I wanted real talk. And I went to the people that were going to give me the answers, that weren't going to sugarcoat it or anything else. I wanted to know, what was I doing wrong from what they had seen? And they gave it to me.
How did that work out for you?
Nothing like asking a woman.
How did that work out for you? I just want to know.
A woman to read you that you don't get read. Let me just say that now. If you don't want to be read, don't ask a woman to do it, because they will do it. And especially your female friends, your platonic female friends will read you. They will give you the truth all the time.
Oh, don't ask the ex-wife.
Well, we struggle with what we are measured by also. Men and women. Men are measured by their responsibility, and women are measured by their accountability. And men struggle with responsibility, and women struggle with accountability. The biggest complaint that women will have about men is like being taking responsibility. We can see it on shows and again, be a man. You got this child, this is and that. And then what does the man complain about with the woman?
Your responsibility.
How I know I'm the father. You know what I'm saying? How many shows have we seen that you're not the father? They struggle with their accountability. We struggle with our responsibility. And that's the thing that goes on with the two of us. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of the problem right there. And plus us men, we compartmentalize things, and women plug in. So we don't on a psychological point, men compartmentalize. We put everything in a box, in a separate box, and we only pull out that box when it's need be. Women plug in and out. That's why they can multitask, because they plug in, plug out, plug in, plug out, and it works for them. For us, that's why they can go and cluster together and do their own little therapy and have their own little. We as men, we don't really do that. We get together and we be men. It's that's what we do when we get together. Women get together and they cry and they do this and they let all the emotions out. We still got the same emotions. We just drunk now.
That is true. We need to be able to sing "Kumbaya" to each other, brothers, so that we can show this love, this unity.
But guys, right? There was a sermon about this, and I hate to mention a sermon while I'm like halfway through a Woodford bottle, but it was called "Men Are Like Waffles and Women Are Like Spaghetti." Lance Watson out of Virginia, great minister. He preached a sermon about that, and he talked about that. He talked about men are like waffles, because what are waffles? They're like a little hole, all these little boxes in a waffle. And that's what men do. We compartmentalize everything. So if we line up our boxes, we're successful. But we have these boxes, and women are like spaghetti. What's a plate of spaghetti? It's all over the place. It can do multiple things. You got the spaghetti everywhere doing everything. And then you try to put those two together, and it's conflict, because we're in our boxes and they're all over the place.
Yeah.
So they can talk to you about how they take care of the kids, how they work hard, and what's on their minds and all their emotions all in one. And all we can talk about is what's in that little box that we have. That's all we got for you, is that one box, and if it's the wrong day and you tell a man you need to talk, and we look at you like we have brain damage, like, oh, we don't know what.
That's a trigger.
Every man said the same thing on the panel.
That is a trigger moment. We got to talk.
That's because one of our boxes have absolutely nothing in it.
Right, exactly. The four
we have an
words
empty box also. So
Yep.
leave our empty box alone. What do you think about? What's in your mind? Nothing right now, woman.
Nothing.
I am in my empty box.
Right.
Leave that box alone. Do not touch it. And we don't even
Right.
want our boxes to touch each other.
Yeah.
Understand? What's on your mind now? What? Nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Because
In
sometimes
my
there really is nothing on our
Nothing on
minds.
it.
Remember,
Yeah.
when you ask us stuff, sometimes we really aren't thinking about anything. Well,
Exactly.
yeah, and we don't want to talk about whatever you're thinking about. So just
Exactly.
in case you was wondering.
Yeah,
Well, I
exactly.
say,
I
when
will
when
say
they
this.
ask that question, I tell them, I'm thinking about you.
That's a player answer. Player.
No, that's a
How many times
Robert
you gotta
answer.
show
You don't
up?
understand Robert. You don't understand Rob. That's a Robert answer for real.
Right? How many times you got in trouble for that one?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, baby, I was thinking about you. That's why I got this faraway look in my face. Blank stare. 'Cause I'm just thinking about our future.
I do want to say this. I think as men, we do find ways to unload. It's not the same as the cry or the spill. What we're doing right now, I do it with my cousins. I've done it throughout COVID. We'll have our little talks on Zoom or whatever.
Yeah.
We do it at the barbershop. You know what I mean? We do it after church. You just sit back and it's a group of guys just, we just laughing, having a good time and just unloading. I think we just do it differently. The thing is, I don't think we don't do it as often.
Right.
We don't do it as often. So we have our times. Hey, meet me at the happy hour or come to the house, cigar night, whatever it may be, and we kind of talk it through, chop it up a little bit. But the ladies, they do more of that, right? The salon day is a therapy day.
God.
It's not just getting your hair done. So,
No.
Yep.
But women can have therapy like a missionary can have church. Wherever it is, I'm just saying, I'm just going old school because I grew up in the South, and the missionaries could go in the middle of the hood in the projects and have church on the corner. That's how women can do a conversation. It doesn't matter where. They can have an emotional conversation anywhere, in the laundromat. They can have it in the middle of in the grocery store, anywhere. They can do it like missionaries. They like missionary Baptists. They can just do it anywhere. Men can't do that. We have to have a cave. We have to have this show. We do it on the show sometimes too. But we have to have drinks, cigars. We have to set the mood. It's almost like we dating each other or something. It's like we gotta have a date. Men have to have a man date.
Be in the box.
I actually talk about when. Yeah, we gotta have our boxes. Our boxes.
Right.
Thank you, God. It's
Our
the same
safe
thing. It's the
boxes.
box. Yep.
Yeah. Our safe boxes.
All right,
love
this has been good, y'all. We got
yeah.
like 4 minutes left. I was hoping Roger could join to talk about his book, Women Just Listen to Me and Shut Up, but he won't talk about it no more. He's just only he's only giving comments in the private chat so that we have to laugh at all the things he's saying. But this has been great. This has been a great conversation. So I would like for our guests to tell us kind of what you have going on, learning about your books. Cortez, I know you got a movie that's doing amazing things. So I'm going to let you all kind of tell us a little bit about it. Franz, we're going to start with you.
So currently I'm also on a show called Kitchen Talk, where conversations cook. We have different conversations in it. It's a variety from politics to relationships to COVID. We have different guests come on and it's a great time. My biggest thing right now is partnering with different universities, providing the Chess for Life program and helping our students, again, achieve their victories. So I'm also working with some corporate people in terms of team building. As we get back into the face-to-face, it's going to be a little bit of a conflict in terms of how do people get back to interacting with each other and going back to understanding what the purpose is. So the Chess for Life piece is definitely moving, as well as some of my other workshops and trainings. And that's pretty much it. I got 2 other books on the shelf. I'm always working on an article here and there, so it's always something. Let's put it that way.
All right, cool. Well, definitely let us know what you're doing because we want to support you. We appreciate you being on. You've been a great guest. We want to have you back as well. Guy Jazzy Rainey, my guy, tell me a little bit about what you're doing. I know, but you let the audience know.
All right. One the things that I'm doing again, my podcast, Morning Coffee with the Motivated Jazzy G, season 2 start in August. Hopefully I have some of you guys on as guests and even have Live on the Cave as a whole guest and just do our thing on there. The other thing, I have another podcast coming called Iron Sharpening Iron. I had a co-host Tiffany Evans, but unfortunately her mom's passed away, so I don't know if she's still going to do it with me, but I find another co-host. But that's another thing coming. So I'm trying to produce a lot of podcasts, trying to convince my wife to do a podcast because she's a cancer survivor. She's battling breast cancer, and she's like a remarkable woman. And I think her voice needs to be heard.
Yeah.
And get out there and have a podcast, really talk to people about it. And I think it'll be such a remarkable thing. I tell her, I'll produce it for you, babe. I got you. This, but it's that's another thing. The other thing I got going, of course, I'm a life coach. Again, my specialty is getting you unstuck, helping you with the blind spots. And if you're looking for a life coach, you can reach out to me at GodJazzy at GodJazzyRainey.com, and just simply slide in my DM at Instagram at GodJazzyRainey, and it's GodJazzyRainey.com. Sorry, and just slide in my DM and say, Coach, I'm ready to get unstuck, and I help you with that. You can get both my books, The Facts of Life, Faith, Action, Change, Truth, and Service on Amazon. Also, the Hip Hop Proverbs. And I'm working something out with Glenn and see if 220 Publishing will pick up the Hip Hop Proverbs and work it from there. So those are the things that I'm working on. I'm big on podcasting now. I come from radio also. So I'm the guy that come from entertainment that kind of like changed my life to be more of a family man. I used to have a recording studio. Not anymore, but I love podcasting. I found something
That's
that
awesome.
I love again. Yeah, so that's my thing, and that's what I'm doing.
Man, prayers up to you, to your wife, fighting breast cancer. Oh, I appreciate you coming on.
She's a strong woman. She's a strong woman. She's my inspiration. I can say that for real. I know that sounds a little cliche, but she's
not at all, man.
Yeah,
not at all.
And
Cortez,
I'll behave if you need somebody for your podcast. I'll behave, guys.
That's what I'm looking for.
I'll behave. It's okay.
Good, Robert. Thank you.
Don't take us away, Cortez. Go ahead.
Cortez, what you got, cousin? What you got going on?
We need you to get off mute, Cortez. We can't hear you.
Oh, there we go. Outside of the 2 feature films that I'll be releasing this year, one will be released in the fall, and we'll be shooting a Christmas movie in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which we got pushed back because we got a great network interested in a Christmas movie. But before that, I have a short film called Splitting Image, which is a short film about a father-son relationship. Hopefully, we're going to just release it to the public on Father's Day. Continue to show these images of father and son relationships. So hopefully by the end of the year, I will probably have a collection of short films.
Yeah, that's needed.
Currently, I have 21 film-related projects and film festivals right now.
Wow.
Short films, to scripts, to features, to movie
Wonderful.
posters, recognized globally. So the support would be greatly appreciated. But the best thing to do, I'm on a mission just to change lives.
Yes. Yes.
Positive images.
All right.
Because we need
That's wonderful.
positive family-oriented films out here, whether they get on the mainstream or not. Especially with our men and our family. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'll be. That's where I stay.
All right.
Appreciate you,
man.
Jeff.
Yeah,
We
this is
appreciate
awesome.
you, man. We appreciate you for bringing it. We appreciate you for taking us to church.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
The
Rob,
doors
you got
of the
some
church
final words?
are open.
Oh,
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
the doors of the church are open. You know, I have nothing outside of I have a podcast coming up titled The Way I See It. I'm actually going to be featured on a podcast regarding divorce and conversation chat. So yes, I'm going to be talking about divorce and my experience there. So that's something that's coming up. I think next week you'll see something on it. But yeah, it's all positive. It's all great. You know, it's great to hang out with your brothers. Stay around after the show. We're going to chop it up a little bit more. But that's it for me, Glenn.
If you guys can stick around after the show ends, we appreciate it. Final words. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you
We
for having
appreciate
me.
our constant supporters, all the people in the chat that commented on the show. We appreciate you every week. Just know that we do. Even if we don't call you out, we really appreciate the support. This show has been going on now for over a year. We're in our second season. And, you know, overwhelmed with the positive comments about what we're doing. So thank you so much for that. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. Thank you to our guests.
Thank you for having
This
me.
has been Live from the Cave. We will see you next week. Mel and Sean, we missed you guys. We'll see you next week. All right. Thank you.
Camped out at home for COVID? Join us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and see it first. Sign up now for free at Indie TV.